Welcome. New podcast. First one of 2019. It's a new year, new episode. This week I got a guest who I've known for probably like 3 years. But I met him at QBP, and then now he goes to the same school as me, so we've hung out and just got to know each other a little bit more. So you want to say what's up, Aaron? Introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm Aaron Oberg, and me and Ian, we kind of just met through QBP, talking about motivational speakers.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah. I don't even know how the conversation started, but I remember I just asked you what you were listening to, and you're like, yeah, I listened to like Les Brown and like Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, same here.
Wow.
Like, that's why you see me so like pumped up all the time at work, and not like depressed.
It was crazy. I don't know how the conversation started either, but it was funny. Like, we just started talking to each other about motivational speakers and other like videos that we listened to, like Mulligan Brothers and some other people that are YouTube channels that are motivational. But that was wild.
Yeah, and then it just kind of clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw you at Normandale.
Yeah.
And then, just immediately became friends.
Best buds ever since.
Yeah, right?
Well, it's got the same wavelength, the same personalities. You know, they just kind of like vibe and just like coincide. But so you've been doing a lot of different stuff. Like, I know you did the window cleaning stuff for a little bit, and you've been working on music or some other things on your own, and you also write a little bit.
Yeah. I have my I do a lot of different things. I dabble. But yeah, so the window cleaning or window restoration was with my cousin. I was just helping him out because he just started his own business, and so that was like the big thing, is just helping him out, helping out family.
Mm-hmm.
And then with music, I actually got super into that last year with one of my best friends. He's like a musical genius, and it just comes naturally to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's I've trickled down talent from there. Just him teaching me his ways.
Yeah.
And then kind of picking up on anything that I can.
What kind of music is it? Like
It's like rock and rap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like playing instruments, or kind of like producing it on a...
Both.
Okay.
So he taught me guitar and drums.
Cool.
And then I kind of am teaching myself how to use the music program that we have, which is Logic Pro.
Nice.
Yeah, advertisement in there.
Yeah, there's the one song that you showed me that was really good. It sounded like, it was kind of like 21 Pilots kind of vibe. That one that that one was really cool.
Yeah, Literal.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun to make. I was on the ukulele for a little bit, but yeah, then he kind of took over because he's a lot better at it. But
yeah,
it's a good time.
So let's talk about the writing a little bit too. I know like you've used that for an outlet for a while, and like, is there any other stuff that you use to kind of like recenter yourself or get it like refocus and get that energy back?
So yeah, I songwrite and just kind of write in general. It kind of my writing for my outlet kind of I can't even think right now. Turned into songwriting, just because I was like, all right, maybe I should put this in a way more like poetic form,
mm-hmm.
instead of just jotting down everything that's on my mind. And then and then it turned. I used to draw a lot, and it kind of evolved into writing instead of drawing. Okay. So I have like full sketchbooks full of just drawings of just random stuff that, like, whatever I was thinking about, that's what I drew,
mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, or what I wanted to keep my mind off of.
How old were you when you were doing that?
I think I started, I don't know, I was doing crayons first, so
yeah.
Probably around that time.
Pencils.
Yeah.
And that was last week.
Yeah. Right. But, yeah, so.
Do you, this is completely off topic, but do you remember those when the crayons or Crayola came out with like the big ass box that had like a sharpener inside of the box?
Dude,
that was the cool one to have.
Whoever
Rich
had
kids.
that, yeah, whoever had that was like the leader of the group. You're just like, you need your crayon sharpened. But yeah, so yeah, there's that. I think my favorite thing to draw was like sunsets. I don't know what drew me in about like that landscape feel,
mm-hmm.
but I'd always just like do mountains and sunsets and just like fields. And so,
when was the last time you saw a sunset?
ooh, I think I can't even remember. It's been cloudy in winter.
This is true.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought that was like a joke. I was like,
Yeah.
I see sunsets all the time. I don't know if it's like something that you like miss or whatever. Like, do you
Yeah.
go to bed at like 3 o'clock or what's going on?
Oh yeah, no, we like.
That's a fair point.
I usually go and like actively like go to some place to
right.
like watch the sunset.
And then I was like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, like what's sort of your inspiration for drawing that? Do you have like a scene in your mind by the time you want to start, or are you just making it up as you go?
Oh, I have a scene in my mind, like just
Okay.
right away. It's like I'm like sketching it out in my head,
Sure.
pretty much. And so I think my inspiration for that is just like something in the sky that's beautiful that not everybody appreciates, but it's still like there, and it's like I look at it as like an oil painting most of the time. Like at least when I see it myself instead of drawing it, it's like it just looks like a painting to me.
Have you ever done paintings?
I used to. I just don't
Yeah.
buy it. Like all the painting that I would want to get is like super expensive.
Right. Is that how you go about with your writing and making music too? You kind of have a pre-idea or like a vision of how you want it to look like in the end? Or do you just kind of start and just like, let's see what I can do or come up with today?
Yeah, so it's music is a lot different in that way where when I'm writing, I don't really know what I'm writing about yet. And it's just kind of like I try to attach myself to the emotion that I'm feeling to kind of get the most pure writing out of it. And how I do that is, so first, kind of leading up to it, I like look up different vocabulary words just so I can articulate myself a little bit better in order to get kind of like the most pure form of how I'm feeling. And so then I'll just like write down something, or like I'll sing a melody in my head and then write down what words come to my head.
Right.
And then I try to connect it.
Yeah, that's something I've personally never been very good at, is like articulating words into a song. It's like I can sort of write some lyrics and I can write a melody or something fairly catchy, but I can never put it together. And so I think that's really cool that someone can do that.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I think that's the
I
hardest
commend
part.
that, yeah.
It definitely is, just like knowing what words to put with what notes.
Yeah, and how to make them coincide.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I love it. I never thought I was gonna like music this much, just because 5 years ago I was like I could not hold a beat at all. Like it was a struggle for me. So.
Oh, let's talk about, you've had like a bit of a crazy last year. I know you went through a bunch of different stuff, and like you're going through changes with yourself, and you moved a couple of different times, and now you're back in school and kind of doing your own thing. So talk about that. I know it was a very stressful time for you, and you're just trying to figure things out.
Yeah, so do you want me to talk about the situation I was in first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, so I got a DUI last April in Wisconsin, and that was quite the experience, just because like there's a lot of different things. And I think my biggest struggle with that at first was kind of knowing who to blame. But then like through just kind of meditating on it, it's like it was my decision to get behind the wheel. It was my decision to do that. And although it's easier to go and like blame the cop or blame the situation, it's like it was my decision. I could have avoided it in a lot of different ways. And I just need to live with that.
Having that acceptance.
Exactly. And so when I lost my car for 6 months, I needed to rely on people, and I didn't realize how hard it was for me to rely on different people at the time. And so, but then once I learned, I was like, I need somebody to drive me somewhere. Like I can't just be taking Uber everywhere.
Yeah.
And so then not only accepting the responsibility with my actions, but also then taking the next step in asking for help with my mistake. And so my parents helped out a lot, and they showed me a lot of love, and I appreciate them to like the ends of the earth for that.
Yeah.
Because my mom pretty much drove me to work, and like that's pretty much that's super embarrassing to like be just driven to work at 22 years old. But it's like this is my like penance, or this is my punishment.
Well, how did that, so transitioning back, like I know you were super excited to get your car back and finally like have that independence again. How was that? Was it just like,
oh, it was amazing. Like first time I got in the car, I think a week prior, I just like went into my car and just like sat there for an hour. And I was just like, all right, well, soon.
Get acclimated again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because before that, my car was just like my comfort zone. It was like anytime I was in there, I was either listening to podcasts, I was listening to motivational speakers. I was listening to them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, and I used to go on a lot of long drives because I lived in St. Paul, driving to Bloomington.
Oh, yeah.
And that commute every single day, it's about like a half an hour. Yeah. So a lot of my free time was spent in my car. So it was good to get back into it. But
so what did you do during that time when you didn't have a car and you had to figure all this stuff out? Like, how did you go about, asking people constantly and like getting over that and, finding that, like, I guess.
It was really hard because, I mean, my nature is not to ask for help. I'm not really sure where I got that, but it's like I try to do everything myself until I absolutely can't. And just to kind of know that I can't wait that long, that I need to ask for help before I absolutely need it.
Mm-hmm.
And then and like everybody that I like, they understood. Like my mom, she hadn't personally been through the situation, but I've had older brothers that have gone through the situation, and so she knew it. And when I told her the first time, I was like, "Hey, Mom, I got DUI, like, and I'm gonna be losing my car."
Yeah.
Like I was expecting her to just like start yelling at me, like
Rail
call me a
you,
dumbass.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then she's like, "All right, what do we do from here?" And so it was very like I was not expecting that loving response from my mom.
Right.
And so that was like amazing. But yeah, with relying on people and
what do you think was the biggest thing that you learned out of the whole situation? Like what did you take away from it that now can you use like in this year and years to come whenever something like that happens?
plan your night out and
That's a good one.
take responsibility for your actions.
Mm.
I think that was a big thing. And then one thing I did learn while going to Normandale, so I was living in Bloomington and I was walking to Normandale every single day because I didn't have a car.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the biggest thing I learned with that is something like what you're defining what obstacles are and defining like what your goals are. Because I could have definitely seen walking every day as too much work. Been like, all right, I'm not going to go to school because that's too much work. But to kind of see it as, all right, Aaron, how much do you want to go to school? Like, do you really want this education? Are you going to walk a mile to go and get an education? And that was so empowering because then every day I was just like, this is how bad I want it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I took 2 years off of college and then I'm coming back. How bad do I want it?
Yeah. Was there ever a sense of like fear after it everything happened? Was there like
a little bit? It was like a lot of less fear and more like irritation and embarrassment, like
And
to tell people I
disappointment
can't. Yeah, like
Okay.
a lot of disappointment, just because like if I'd meet new people and they'd be like, hey, like let's go hang out, and it's like, well, I can't hang out because
Right.
I can't drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd have to explain the situation over and over again.
Yeah.
But I kind of saw that as my lesson learning, just because it's like getting your license taken away is one thing, but I feel like that like learning and kind
Sure.
of learning my lesson
Yep.
through that.
Did you, after explaining yourself so many times to new people and whatever, and like going through those emotions, was it getting easier or less embarrassing to talk about, or was it still just as hard?
It got a lot easier because I
Yeah.
just was like, this is
What
this
it
is
is.
me. This is
Mhm.
me. Like, take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first I was like, oh well, people aren't gonna like me because
You did
I
this.
I did this and I look like a dumbass. Like, of course you don't drink and drive. Like that's
Mhm.
everywhere, all over the media.
Right.
Like, you just don't do that.
Mhm.
And so, but then eventually people just kind of understood. They're just like, yeah, all right, like I'll come pick you up.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know what weeks it was, but we used to set a time. It was like 7:30 or something.
Yeah.
Where we'd be at school every morning. I don't know, and you would walk every day, and
Yeah.
it was wild because it was super cold or raining, and you would still show up and just be like, "Geez, dude."
It's funny you say that, Ian, because I remember certain times in high school when you'd bike in a blizzard, and that's, I don't know, like you come in and your face is like beet red, and it's like, what? Are you kidding me? Like that's so.
Well,
Yeah,
that was
you kind of take it to the next level. Yeah, you and your brother are just like every day to work. You're just like, yeah, it's 10 degrees out, but we're still biking to work.
I don't know. For me, it's more. I do it like I have a choice. Like I have a car and a license, so I can drive if I want to. But I like the idea of kind of what you were talking about earlier. I like the challenge of the goal. You know, it's like how motivated am I to bike in these conditions and get to this place on my bicycle and with all my stuff, or like go get groceries when it's 0 degrees and snowing.
Do you find it as like a test for yourself, or?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think maybe it's like a little bit of challenging myself and my, what I'm capable of in just a raw, real sense versus using all the stuff around us, being as self-sufficient and I guess, reliant as possible.
Okay.
It's pretty rewarding too.
Yeah.
Like just walking, like I feel like it's way easier just to drive and like
Mhm.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Like
It's
there's
quick
nothing
and
wrong
easy,
with
and you
it.
don't think twice
Yeah,
about the
but-
journey.
Yeah. And then but if you bike, there's a lot more time to think about it and like working hard, and I feel like there's a lot more.
There's also the benefit of getting in shape too. I
Like,
mean,
yeah.
that makes you feel
Yeah.
better anyway. So
Yeah. That's true. And just like the more you give, the more you get.
Mhm.
And so it's like you give that much more work, you're going to get back way bigger reward
Oh, yeah.
mentally, not necessarily in real life.
Yeah. Well, that is real life though, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Is
Well,
mental-
I'm
not
talking
necessarily
about
like a tangible,
physical.
like
Oh,
a
yeah,
tangible
yeah, yeah.
reward. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really that's another good point. Like whenever if you are walking or biking somewhere and you're going from A to B, you have that you're more present, I think, and you like when you get to the destination, you're like, wow, like this I went from there to here, and it was just a matter of like my own human power and my own like thing versus just getting in a car and turning the key.
Yeah.
There's a lot more thinking time too. Like, did you ever have like, what was your sort of daily thought on your bike ride or walk to school on these days?
On my walk to school, it was still. I listened to a lot of podcasts just kind of like fortify my mind every time going to school, and so that was good. But anytime I wasn't listening to a podcast, I guess I was thinking about people in my life, like who I appreciated the most, and it's kind of like just going through everything, thinking about what I was going to do that day, what I thought about the day. It gave me a lot of time to think about my mistake I made with drinking and driving, and so I think that was really good. Just kind of like let that fester on my mind, because I think that's where I got most of my like realizations about the lessons I learned.
You didn't really let it fester. You were very constructive with it, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. Because it would have been easy to become resentful.
Oh yeah.
Just be like, it's like, I barely was above the limit. Like I shouldn't have gotten that big of a ticket. Like he should have just let me off. But it's like I shouldn't have been there.
Find all the reasons why you shouldn't have, but then really, what's that doing for you?
Yeah, exactly. Like how does that help me? How does that teach me to be a better person?
Right.
Exactly. Because it already happened. There's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it just eventually just rot.
I think a lot of people get caught up in that whenever something happens that they don't like or that don't agree with, and they sit and think about all the reasons why it shouldn't have happened or why it's not their fault and why whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like it happened. There's nothing you can do about it. So let's take it as it is and move forward.
Yeah.
But that's a very hard skill, I think, to overcome or understand. I want to talk a little bit too about gratitude, because I'm sure you probably noticed that after like getting back in your car for the first time, you're like, holy shit, I can drive.
Yeah. So yeah, gratitude. Yeah, I'm very grateful. I guess no. Repeat the question. So like, what do you got?
I don't know. Just talk about gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah. How do you practice it, or how do you engage in being grateful on a daily basis?
I try to be. I try to look at the small things. And try to be grateful for the small things.
All the small things?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Insert Blink-182
Yeah.
here. I might do that.
Are we going to tag them? Yeah, so, just being grateful for the little things, because I think then that builds in like a snowball effect to be grateful for the bigger things and notice that. Like, I'm grateful for my shoes that are getting me from place to place. I'm grateful for the money that I'm making and the school that I'm going to, because it's very easy to overlook a lot of that stuff that like, and I don't necessarily think like, oh, other people don't have this. It's more like I'm thankful for this because this is like a blessing to have. Like, like a house to stay in, all this stuff, like really good food that I can pick from. And it's just like, I'm just thankful for it.
Sure.
And so then that also just builds into bigger stuff to be thankful for. And being thankful is really powerful, because it takes your mind off of yourself, and it really puts you into a good mindset of like, either it's not about me, like I'm like it's not about me, it's about the things in my life that are good. And so it really helps you clear your head, and like, because you can't be thankful and angry at the same time. It's really hard. Like, have you ever tried that? It's really calming to be thankful for something.
I'm just trying to think of the combination of those at the same time.
Yeah,
that's a tricky one.
Yeah, like by in your like head, it's like almost impossible.
Yeah.
But
because they're like polar opposites almost. It's kind of those same things. Like if you have can you be severely depressed as well as insanely happy? Like
you can't do it. Yeah. So that's what I get out of being grateful.
All right, that's cool. I want to talk a little bit about happiness, because it's the Make Happiness podcast, so we got to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Every day with you in the happiness.
I'm sorry. Maybe we'll have to talk about sadness. Yeah, I still want to get a pessimist on here. I think that would be fun to talk to.
Any pessimists out there?
Yeah.
Calling all pessimists.
No. So where do you get your happiness from, and how do you? Where do you get your energy and that kind of thing? How do you stay happy throughout the day and like find that happiness in such a shitty world?
Yeah, it is a pretty shitty world. I get my happiness just from day-to-day lessons. I try to find a lesson in everything, and just because there really is. There's lesson in every situation, and you can look at it as a tragedy or as a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put myself in the mindset that there's something for me to learn here to be a better person. And I get a lot of happiness from that, because then there's no situation I can't overcome, because it's just a lesson to be learned.
That's cool.
And so that's a lot of where my happiness comes from.
Like growing and learning more.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And so
Yes.
like it's one of like the yin yang things. It's like you're either doing this or you're doing that.
Well, even if you're growing, aren't you dying at the same time?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't
More
think
in the
that's how
sense
it
of
works.
not staying still. You're not stagnant. You're not moving anywhere.
Because if you're
so
stagnant, you're actually dying.
Yeah. Well,
you're not keeping up with everything else. In
Yeah.
a sense, like you're not.
I'm just being a devil's advocate, or like pushing it.
Shut up, Ian.
No, keep doing it. We got to have this debate. But no, this yeah. So happiness, like learning lessons, and then just always going towards a goal. I'm a pretty ambitious person
Yeah.
at heart, just like with the goals that I have. And it can be overwhelming sometimes, but just to know that I'm eventually going to be there, and putting in the work just really drives me every day. It gives me
Yeah.
a lot of meaning, which results in happiness.
You also have a lot of crazy ideas. You've told like business ideas. There's
Yeah.
endless amounts of them. I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
inside your head.
Yeah, it's constantly coming. I started writing them down. I think one crazy one that you gave me some wide eyes for was this Spider-Man suit that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Whoa, let's hear this.
Yeah. So there's this company. This is also being patented, so nobody can take it. So there's this company called Gecko Skin that they sell tape that has like the actual like kind of the biology or the makeup of what's on geckos, because the geckos, they can hold like 3 times their weight as they like climb up walls, and it's not sticky. And so they made this tape where you can put it on and it like holds for a really long time, but when you take it off, there's no like adhesive still on there.
There's no residue left
Yeah.
over. Okay, wow.
And so they were able to take like a square foot piece of tape, put it on a window, and then hook a chain onto it and put like 3 45-pound weights on it. And it was able to hold just like right on the window. And then when they took it off, it just like slipped right off. And so
Pretty
what I'm
cool.
going with this is buying a bunch of like skin tight, like
Morph suits or
yeah, exactly. Like kind of I went towards like the karate era, just because there's like padding and stuff like that is a lot more skin tight. And so I'm going to either find a way to get that tape on my clothes and then be able to climb like Spider-Man on walls and stuff.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so so I'm working on that. I already have some of like the paddings. I think Gecko Skin still hasn't sent me their stuff. But
That's insane. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I never would have thought about that. I don't think. Like, that's
What would you do if you could do that?
if I could do that.
If you could climb walls, where would you
could.
climb? Where would you go
Just
first?
because you can doesn't mean you should, Ian.
yeah.
But what about the ifs?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'd feel obligated to swing around the city and save people.
Yeah, first thing, yeah.
Then they'd make a movie about me, and I'd be a millionaire. Dude, I don't know.
Classic.
But that's really cool. That's honestly really cool.
Yeah.
I could see that being used for like military reasons.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's special officer gonna
I
call
thought
me up.
first thing I thought of was like window washing. You know? Like you're up on the skyscrapers, like I'll just
like
start
riding-
climbing up
Dude,
the wall.
Just riding the
That'd be
squeegee down the
perfect.
building.
That'd be perfect for like hospitals, like dress up as Spider-Man and go in like kids' windows and just like watch their window.
Yeah,
Like, that'd be my dream if I was in a hospital. Just like Spider-Man's washing my window.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, someday.
All right, this is going into kind of the same realm of like ideas and business and entrepreneurship stuff. Why do you guys think that there's such a wave nowadays in our society of everyone wants to be a creator, everyone wants to do YouTube, everyone wants to have a podcast, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, everyone wants to own their own business? Why do you think that is?
I really think just because of all the platforms we have now, and I really I don't think that everybody wants it. I think that there's like certain like people that have a big talk, and they'll be like, yeah, no, like that'd be awesome to do, but not everybody does it.
There's
And
planners and doers.
Yeah, exactly. And so I definitely think that there's a big margin of people that just are creating all the time.
Yeah.
And they're like just putting out there, and I think it's because there's so many platforms. And I don't know if it'd be like a new wave, but as much as just now we have the technology to actually have people put out stuff. Because I think like everybody's always had that creative mindset, but now we have
everyone can see it.
Everybody can see it. Everybody has like the inspiration. Maybe they were like told they can't when they were younger, but now that they have this platform, it's like, okay, there's like, this is way easier now to make music, draw pictures, put them up there, do photography.
The access is easy.
Yeah, way easier. And so I really think that that's going on, and I think it's going to keep on coming.
Yeah.
I don't think it has any plan of stopping.
What about you, Eli?
Yeah, I mean, like you talked about YouTube and all that stuff, and so I thought about this, and I was thinking, there's these social media platforms that, like, for example, like Vine, who blew up all of these young kids that are like our age, and they're, sort of in a sense self-made millionaires because of their, comedy skits or something on these like 6-second videos.
Yeah.
And so guys like the Paul brothers have these massive houses that they live in with friends, and they drive these super fancy cars, and people see that and they want to sort of
be a part of it,
figure out a way to do that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I was, when I was writing this question, I was kind of trying to think of my own take on it, but honestly, I think part of it is the fact that you were talking about how we have so much access and everything is a lot easier to get our hands on. But I think it's also, now that there's so much content constantly pushing out and everyone can see what everyone else is doing. This also relates to Eli. It's like they can see everyone else's lives and everyone else's stuff and all these materialistic things. So people have this idea that like that's what a good life is. So if someone runs their own business and this is what they're doing, I want to do that to get to that level.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, I mean, in the last, like, 20 years, I feel like a big wall has been lifted with the whole social media. Like, before, like, 20-plus years ago, it was, like, 5 big businessmen that decided what was in the media, what music was being put out, what TV shows are going out.
True.
Like, who is famous.
Yeah.
But now, it's like there's no middleman.
Yeah,
it's just the internet. People
free
decide
game.
who is famous and who's not. And so it's very, like, almost like mob rule in the sense, because anybody can make music, and if they like it and they're able to put out their stuff as far as they can, people will see it, and if it's good, then it will blow up.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a lot more pure now, where the best are getting out, and I think one of the things that's happening as like a kind of first is because everybody is getting out there, the people with the best marketing skills are the ones that are getting big, but now I think it's going to be filtered down to only the best are big.
I think on kind of the flip side of that, I think social media and Instagram in specific has a little bit more walls up too, just because they always put out just their best, picture perfect stuff. No one puts out a really grainy, gross looking photo when they're super depressed or have no makeup on or whatever. And even people say, "Oh, hashtag no makeup," it's like I can still see you wearing eyeliner. Yeah. It's like one of those
using
things.
Facetune.
Yeah.
Some sort of editing is involved, whether it be physical or in the...
So, people always put out just their best bits and their best parts of their life on the social media. So it's a very cookie cutter life. And I was talking to one of my friends last night about this, and it's like people lack, I think, the idea to be more raw and put out the stuff that they don't want to put out. Like if you posted stuff about, what you're going through last year with drinking and whatever, it's like, I'm assuming you didn't really talk about that or post about it.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't really post about very much as it is, but that's... It's weird because, you don't really want to talk about it as you're going through it. I think that's a big mental thing with a lot of people. It's like, why would you want to talk about it? Or, like, you don't talk about the success of a problem while you're going through it because you haven't, like, succeeded, and you don't want to, like, give yourself terms and conditions for failure. It's like, well, I'll tell you how I made it through when I make it through.
Okay.
And not before that. And so, I mean, and also, like, with everybody just kind of putting their best out there. I mean, I almost think, like, we do that anyways, naturally. Like, if you, like, talk face-to-face to somebody, people always put up, like, some sort of facade or some sort of shield as it is before kind of, like, layers of trust until you get to know them.
Yeah, I definitely see that. But from my whenever I'm putting out stuff or making content with my writing or whatever, I like to just put out whatever I have, like whether it be good or bad. You know, some people will like some stuff and other people will hate other stuff that I write, but it's like, that's what I was feeling at that time. That's what I was going through. So why not give it out to the world? And they're like, well, you're this happy person. Like, why are you talking about depression and all these other things? And it's like, because that's what I was going through. So that's what I'm going to talk about.
And I think people love that, like just the rawness. Like when people see rawness, they like
gravitate.
They can see it. Like
it's very relatable.
They can tell. Yeah,
because it's something that we may not see in others, but it absolutely is real. Because you know, we're talking about, you only ever see the stuff that people post, or you know, if you see them, they're probably not talking about all their problems to you. You know, they might come to you in confidence and they'll bring that up to you, but they're not always just blurting out all their problems and things like that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, people definitely notice rawness. Like they can sniff out what's real and what's fake on like different people's profiles, whether they're being real or not.
Yeah.
And I think the more popular you get, like there's so many different like models on Instagram where it's just like, you can tell people only follow them because of their looks. And I think that's kind of sad, because then I think they have way less of a chance to express themselves in the way that they want to, just because they might lose followers.
Yeah,
or stuff like that.
They have this like idea that they have to be this person, and this is what they have to post because that's who they are.
Yeah, it definitely leads to some narcissism too. So I think being real on social media really protects yourself from narcissism, because it's like, this is like, I'm giving you like what's inside of me.
People see you as one thing, and then that you can't change from that.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
A way.
Yeah, it's like, I'm giving you the good and bad. Take it with it what you want.
But then at the same coin of that, it's also really hard for the person putting that out, because they can be super self-conscious, and it's really hard to be them raw selves, because some people aren't going to like it and some people are going to bash on you, and it's like you have to overcome that battle as well to be okay with not everyone's going to like your stuff, and being in that vulnerability, I guess is the right word.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of like personal strength, just because it can be looked at as weakness, and people can interpret it as weakness. Like, wow, like you're depressed all the time. Like, what's wrong? Like, you have a perfect life. It's like, and then you like that can like get in your mind, and you be like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing?
But that's one person's opinion who doesn't see your whole picture.
Yeah,
they have no business in saying that unless they're really directly involved with your life. And it's like, I'm just thinking of a commenter on like a YouTube video or something like that, saying like the horrible stuff that YouTube comments do sometimes.
Yeah.
And they don't know the picture. They see the 5 minutes of the YouTube video or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't see anything else besides that.
Right. And like, I think that's another, like, that'd probably be the negative side of how many platforms we have for people, is that not only do you get all this good content, but then you have a voice for everybody that like wants to just
it's very oversaturated.
Yeah, but so then I guess that's something to just know, that like anybody can say anything, and they don't know your response, and if they were face to face to you, they probably wouldn't say it.
Right.
And then like, not from like a kind of like macho, like they wouldn't say it, but like I think people are a lot more empathetic to people's emotions
if they can see them.
If they can see you,
right?
Like they just won't say certain things. They can get context to be like, okay, this is how you are as a person. But when they just see like a video or something, or like read a post, it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm just gonna say this.
It's words on a page to them, or
this is
like
the
that.
Tip of the iceberg. I
right.
had a shitty day. I'm gonna do all this stuff.
It's like the first layer of the onion.
Yeah, exactly.
Good analogy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I wrote about this like a couple weeks ago in my journal, and I might post about it later, but I want to rewrite it. So I was talking about attention and emotion.
Okay.
And I think attention and emotion are one of the two most valuable things that we as humans can give and receive to other humans. Because that is, I think, the ultimate, gift. If you give your full attention to someone, you give your full emotion, it's like that's showing your own trust, showing your connection with the other person, as well as being able, if you're receiving emotion from someone else, it gives you value, and it makes you feel whole, as well as if someone's giving you your full attention when you're talking, it's like that makes you feel good inside as well.
Yeah, you're giving them your time, which is limited to everyone.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's like one of the most expensive currencies is time. And I feel like people, I heard this thing that like, if you want to show appreciation for somebody, don't send them an email, send them a letter. Because subconsciously we like see that a handwritten letter that took a lot more time, and like you put your emotion into that, and people may not be able to articulate it, but they understand this took work. Yeah. I think wrapping presents is the same way. I was thinking about that around Christmas. It's like when you wrap your present, like versus putting just in a trash bag and give it to somebody.
Yeah, or
It's
wrapping
the
it in
same-
newspaper.
Yeah, it's like it's the same concept, but like knowing that somebody put a lot of work and thought just to give you a present.
Mhm. Right, like people
give you
keep
something.
letters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People don't
Oh,
always keep
I
emails
have-
and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have all the letters I've ever received.
Yeah.
At least like personal letters,
Yeah.
not like bank statements.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff
also
like
have. I have also
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
notice from the bank you're 50 in the hole.
that. I'll put that in the paper basket.
Yeah, that's another. I want to talk about your Venmo thing a little bit later, but
Oh yeah.
so this relates to talking about the emotion and tension a little bit with social media too. It's like it's so hard because everything is so quick. Attention is so small. It's like getting that emotion out and getting that attention across to people can be really hard because people are just like next. You know, it's getting that attention from people and getting that emotion from people is a really hard thing to do. I think in this world of instant.
Gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I think like with attention, just kind of focus on somebody, and that goes with attention. I'm just expounding on what you said.
Yeah.
Just like when you give somebody attention, to kind of give it to them, and not like what you actually see. Just kind of taking them as the person, and not what they're putting up. Kind of knowing that like you're a person, you like have meaning.
Yeah.
And talking to them in that way, and like a lot of people are thrown off by it. Like if they're not used to that. Sometimes they can either feel threatened or something like that because they've never experienced somebody talking to them in that such way, and they'll get like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But like if you talk to them for a while, they'll like get out of their shell a lot.
That's what I've noticed with me and talking with women and just new people in general. Like people get overwhelmed with me because I'm so raw and honest and real. Sometimes it's like it's a lot because people are like, "Whoa, like I've never met someone who's like that." And it's
Yeah.
like that's just who I am.
Right. And I think they feel like a certain level of like they want to reciprocate. And so I think that's a lot where it becomes uncomfortable. It's like, oh, wow, you're being really raw. I don't know if I can match that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not used to that. I can't match your rawness.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's interesting. Everybody's interesting. Like, if you talk to somebody, they'll tell you something that nobody in the world knows.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I think, like, I approach everybody with that kind of mentality that, like, you know something that nobody else knows. And I want to know it.
Like
That-
you can learn someone from everyone.
Yeah, that's why I really like these podcasts because when we start out, things are kind of like we're feeling it out because
Yeah.
we don't really know where it's going. But
Yeah.
we get off into these little tangents and stuff like that. And we're able to really find out more about each other. Like we worked together. I didn't know anything about you,
Right.
and now I feel like I've known you for a year.
All right. That's same right back at you.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool. And going to that same thing, it's really cool, like talking to all these different people on the podcast, just like learning about all these different things because everyone has something different to offer, like you were just saying. So it's cool to get the different perspectives and see what other people, have their ideas on and what their views are about certain situations or topics. But
Yeah.
cool. All right. So this one's kind of a little bit more random. So it's 4 things you can't go a day without using.
Water.
All right.
Yeah, that was an easy one. 4 things without using. That's a
Eli,
good question.
do you have any?
Probably playing music. Whether it be, I guess I would consider myself a multi-instrumentalist. I don't play everything in a single day, so maybe I'll pick something I'm feeling that day and just have at it for an hour or two, something like that. And usually I try to do at least an hour of one of my instruments a day. So, whether that be guitar or if I'm trying to compose something on my computer, it's something that I
related.
not that I think about not using. It's like, oh, I have to play guitar because I haven't yet today. It's just like
Subconsciously, you just
subconsciously, it's just
Yeah.
something I enjoy doing. So I do
Have
it.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I really don't want to admit the 4 things I need every day. Like I know it's my phone, but I don't want to say it's my phone.
Yeah.
It's like I don't like that answer.
But that's a fair
it is.
answer because
Yeah.
it's so useful. It's
It
not
is.
like it's, people, unless you're on social media all the time, it's like
Yeah.
you're bogging yourself down with that. But it's a very useful tool.
Yeah.
It's, you have a phone that is connected to the internet, which is,
Yeah. And on a network, and you can talk to literally everybody.
Yep.
But what I like, so I got a new phone, and it's a lot smaller than the last one. The last one I had was like a 6S Plus,
Oh, okay.
and now it's a 7, and it's way smaller. And I actually find myself on it way less, which I'm like super happy for.
That's
I wanted
cool.
the smaller phone just because was like a mini TV in front of my face. It's like I can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, for the 4 things, I was definitely gonna say my phone too. Like, yeah, that's just our generation. I think that's who we are now. It's how we go through and communicate and do your own thing with, because it's endless with the internet and stuff you can learn through other people and through other videos and listening to podcasts or listening to music, and because there's so much new music out there and all these other things. But
that's another thing I want to bring up is I usually don't I guess I haven't really thought about this, but I usually don't go a day without listening to someone talk about their life experiences in a way, whether it be on a podcast or an interview or something like that. But I enjoy hearing people's stories. Like the books I mostly enjoy reading are biographies about people, like specifically musicians that I look up to and stuff like that. But I really enjoy hearing people's stories, so I can sort of always feel like I'm gaining something from it. Yeah. It's not always entertainment, but it's something that
you can learn.
I can take away from.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's definitely I've learned that. Well, I don't know if I do this daily, but I don't try to like forcefully do it, but it's cool to hear, like, talk to other people about. I'm a helper. I'm a healer. I love, like, if someone's going to vent, like, sure, I'll listen to you vent for hours. It's like, I enjoy that. I love hearing about other people, not their problems, but just hearing about their life and how can I help you? How can I, make your life better, motivate you or inspire you to make a better decision or a better choice or, redirect yourself. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do.
If you're ever like listening to something, do you ever think about what you would say to that person? Like, if you're not directly in front of them, do you ever think about what your thoughts would be? Like, be like, oh, this is what I would say to you in that.
Definitely in some situations. I know, like, it depends on what the conversation is, but yeah, I've definitely done that before. I'll like, I would, if I was there, I would say this.
Yeah.
I kind of along the same lines. I definitely think about what I'd say to them, but it's like, I don't know. I think each situation is different, and I feel like when you learn about the context, you don't really think, you just kind of feel it. Like when you have like that attention, like we were talking about an emotion, you kind of go, when they tell you about their story, you connect into their story. You don't exactly think about it. You just like feel it.
Yeah,
right? Like you know when they want encouragement. You know when they need some sort of like uplift.
Yeah.
And I think Ian, we're kind of on the same page with that, which is like, we don't miss an opportunity to encourage somebody. And I think that's huge, and I think that's why we kind of clicked, is because we know, like, we're on the same wavelength for just not letting anybody beat themselves up.
And helping other people like get to that point, or helping themselves. Yeah, that's cool. Another thing too I can't go without is definitely writing, like in my journal, and I just got a new one and I'm so amped on it. But
I saw it.
Yeah,
looks cool.
I'm stoked.
I still have 2 things to say. With things I need coffee, so it's water,
coffee,
coffee, and I think like just motivational speeches, or just like talks, like podcasts, people talking about getting through problems and stuff like that. That was like such a great help. I think I started listening to it at QBP. Like, that was like when I first started
getting into it.
Yeah. The first video I had listened to was Earl Nightingale, and he was talking about what success is, and that like just blew up my world. Yeah. And then like that's just went uphill from there. I was gonna say downhill, but I'm going up.
On an upward slope. Yeah. Anyway, back to what you're saying about your journal and such.
That was it.
Oh, okay.
I had nothing more to add.
New journal.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess 4 things. My journal. What else did I say? I don't know. I said something. Oh, obviously my bike, my journal, my bike, and talking to people. I think interaction with people. That's one thing I can't go without.
I think we all like listening to people.
Yeah.
It's definitely an underrated thing to need. Like, people don't realize how much they need to talk to people.
I love my record player. I guess my typewriter and my record player, they're tied. I love them both dearly.
Dude, your computer's right there.
I know, but it's something about it, man. I can't.
It's like the letter thing. It feels more like you're actually it's the same thing, but it's tangible. It's not on your screen. It's in your hands when you're done. It's
physical.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that there's no delete button on a typewriter. So everything is so you have to think, and if you mess up or you misspell, it's like, well, then you got to rewrite the whole thing. And then when you rewrite the whole thing, it might be completely different from the first time you wrote it, because now you have a different idea or like a different vision for it. So that's always fun. I love just sitting in my basement listening to records and using my typewriter. That's my happy place.
Very old fashioned. I like it.
Yeah, man. Cool. Well, I think we did quite a bit on this podcast. Talked about some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any final things or stuff you want to talk about or mention, discuss?
Cause I mean, just the choices that you make in life, I really think that they matter. Every choice you make means something, no matter how small it is. And just knowing that, I don't know, empowers me to just make the best decisions. That
It's a coffee maker. It's turning
oh,
off.
okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, are we doing okay? But yeah.
The house is burning down.
Yeah, that like all like where you end up in life starts off with the little decisions that you make and not the big decisions.
Yeah.
They're like day to day. Like, for example, like when I'm in the car and I like see somebody just drive really bad, I can like rage and just be like,
Yeah.
just hate
Get
them
pissed.
pretty much.
Yeah. Or
But,
you
like,
can stay calm.
Yeah, and like that little decision to kind of be like, no, it's fine, I think can make a huge difference, because then overall I don't have that habit of freaking out at just like small accidents that other people make.
And then it just compounds, then
Yeah.
you make more decisions like that and more decisions like that.
And so like that mentality inside the decision builds upon itself and compounds over years.
I think that's a really good, powerful thing. I like that a lot. Decisions are huge.
Yeah, every single one of them. So that's my ending note.
Yeah, well, and what was it? Mark Zuckerberg, I think it was him. He when he was just starting up Facebook, he wore the same clothes every day because it was one less decision he had to think about. So he just wore the same thing every day because he didn't have to think what he was going to wear.
Well, okay.
Because did you ever sit or like when you're going to work or going to school, like do you look at your clothes and figure out like what do I want to wear today?
Sometimes, and then if I take longer than a minute, I just throw on the first three things I see.
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right, taking too long.
I'm very similar. It's like in high school, I pretty much only wear black jeans.
Yeah.
That was like my thing.
And you had the purple sweatshirt, or that was middle school maybe, or the like long sleeve. It's like I think it was a sweatshirt, or maybe it was a long sleeve shirt. It's like the purple like.
Was it striped?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a cool sweatshirt. I miss it.
Also, I want to talk about the your Venmo stuff and how your account got hacked. Is that right?
Yep. So my account on Venmo got hacked.
Uh-oh.
And there's like there was like 3 ghost accounts that were pretty much sucking out my money that I didn't actually have. And so at one point I was negative $3,000 in my bank, which was pretty scary. And so like I called the bank, I called Venmo. They told me that they were going to fix it. And so eventually it did get fixed. But I think that's the biggest scary thing about that is just like knowing that somebody had my information.
Yeah.
And not knowing what to do without any money at all. And so that was like, I definitely became more thrifty after that point and checked my bank account every single day because I was definitely not in the habit of doing that.
Yeah.
And so I learned my lesson from that. And I took it as, what can I learn from this? And it's like, all right, I need to check my bank account every day. All right, I need to like do all this stuff, like have more security on my account and be way more protective of my stuff. And so that's what I tried to pull out of it. And it was definitely nerve-wracking. I think I almost had a heart attack because it was right before finals. And I was just like, I didn't want to worry about it, but like it was something you had to worry about. And it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds insane. I don't know what I would do if that kind of thing happened.
Well, at least it worked out.
Yeah, no, it did. Yeah, so like I talked to Venmo and I talked to the bank and they're like, okay, like we understand. And so Venmo refunded me all that stuff because it wasn't actually real money. It was just like, because they were just taking it from an empty account.
Right. Okay.
And so it was just a weird situation because
that's strange.
Usually you'd think that Venmo would be like, nope, there's no money in this account, you can't take it. Yeah. But in the way that it was set up, I was just able to take it.
Yeah. That's wild, but it's good that everything is squared up, and now you're very more conscious of your funds.
Way more conscious. On like night and day difference now. So I think it was like that type of risk. Like there was with how it worked out, it almost seemed like there was really no risk with it. And so I'm really like, that was definitely like a good lesson to learn about my finances, and just checking it every day, where I didn't lose a lot because it wasn't necessarily my money. It just was a very like huge scare. So
that's cool.
I think it's a very like safe way to sort of learn a lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that was I'm thankful for that. Like, I'm thankful for that experience.
You learned, but you didn't lose anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing about gratitude. So I'm very thankful for all the experiences that I go through, whether it's good or bad, because I look at it as everything as a lesson. There's something to be thankful for inside of it. And so I'm thankful that I got caught drinking and driving, because God knows if I were to not get caught, would I still be doing it?
Yeah.
And so would I be taking my life as seriously as I do now? Because I got caught. And so I'm thankful for all those experiences.
Yeah. And that's another hard thing I think a lot of people cope with or understand, is that finding that negative situation and is actually pretty beneficial in some regards, because you can learn from it, and it makes you, like you're just talking about, like it could make you a much better person in the long run. It's just really hard to see in the moment.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Because like the initial shock of it, like you have like these value system of how you want to react, but you almost need to just interrupt that to kind of get the most healthy reaction, and just be like, nope, like what is actually going on? How should I react? And it's okay to like react in an angry way, because that's just how you feel.
Yeah.
Then after that, to not let it sit inside you.
Right.
So one last topic I want to talk about. Eli like moved his computer over to remind me. We were talking about New Year's.
You ruined the illusion, Ian. It's supposed to come up naturally.
Broke the fourth wall.
No, man.
Third wall.
Yeah, what we were talking about earlier, like just be raw, be real.
Yeah.
It's like that was
all
what
right,
happened.
people. You know what? Here's what happened. I thought we were wrapping up the podcast, so I quickly typed New Year's onto my computer and moved it over to Ian so he could see and remember what we were going to talk about. And that's what happened.
So right now, I know me and Aaron talked about New Year's at work a couple weeks ago, but right now is like the second, third week of 2019. So I think it's right about that mark where people are kind of falling out from their New Year's resolutions or their goals or whatever.
Less people at the gym.
Yeah.
Oh, that's for sure.
But I was just curious. Well, first I want to ask Eli, like, what are your opinions on New Year's resolutions, and do you make them every year? Or like, how do you?
I don't make them really ever. I don't think I ever have. But there's resolutions, or goals rather, I make on my own time.
Yeah.
I don't think that the turning of I think it's cool for some people because it works, but it's just not something I do.
Yeah.
But I guess something maybe that I would call a resolution for my year would be to work on this upcoming project I have with a couple people. I really want to make it happen, and I'm willing to work hard and hope it goes somewhere.
And just keep developing and learning.
Yep.
I agree with that. Like, it doesn't take a new year rollover to set new goals. You know, I think you should, if you need to change or something that you want to strive for, don't wait 9 months to set the new year to make the resolution.
Yeah, the best time to start is now.
Exactly. But it's like, if it takes the new year to motivate her, and it's like, oh, New Year's, new me, whatever, and you actually like are devoted to making that change, then sure, fuck it, make some New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, like you're not against it, but like it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
I find myself, whenever I wait for a certain date to do it, I just end up not doing it.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like, unless I do it now, it's not going to get done. So I
think I'm like that to an extent, but I also, if I write it down and I put it like in my planner, in my schedule, like for the week, and I write stuff down, I need to do this day, that day, I think that helps a lot for me too.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking more like a change of habit. Like if it's something that like I'm habitually doing, it's easier. But like if I'm like, all right, I'm going to change my lifestyle this day, it's like, it's not going to happen that day.
Yeah.
It's just like, you got to do it now. And yeah, this is the best time to do it.
100%. I think, if you're waiting, you'll always be waiting. If you're waiting for the right time, waiting for the right scenario, it's like, it's never the right time. It's never the right scenario. You're always going to find an excuse.
Yeah. There's always something wrong or something going on that you have to get around or something like that.
It's good to have honesty with yourself. That's cool that you like think that you're like aware of that. It's like, oh, if I don't do it now, it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
Some people work their way around that and blame it on other things, which is, I think, very common to do.
Oh yeah. No, I try to be as honest with myself as possible, no matter like what it is, like whether it's really brutal or if it's like lifts me up. It's like, you got to know yourself. You got to know what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And you have to look at yourself like you're a different person.
Yeah.
Like you're somebody that you care about. And yeah, you have to look at yourself like you're just another one of your friends.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much what you are. You don't.
That's what you are to them. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
it's
don't know
very-
yourself as well as you think you do.
Mhm.
Like, unless you look at yourself honestly and just be like, all right, this is what I'm actually going to do. Like, this would probably be the right answer, but I know I'm not going to go to like that full extent. So maybe like, what am I actually willing to do
Mhm.
in this moment?
Okay.
And it's also cool too, because when you get to that level, it's like, so if I know this is what I want to do, or this is what actually is going to happen because that's my personality and that's what I've been doing, but I want it to go this way, then you can kind of change it a little bit and be like, all right, well, I'm going to take action so I can get over here instead of still staying in this route.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess, for example, so like I used to have a pretty bad lifestyle, like in just terms of like eating junk food, all this stuff, just like smoking a lot of weed, like just a lot of different, just like kind of bad habits. And like you know the right answer. Like in my head, like all my life been told the right answer. Like like yeah, you need to work out, you need to eat healthy. I know all these foods that I need to do to eat healthy. I need to wake up on time. Funny enough, I need to wake up on time. I need to do all these things. It's like, yeah, I know that right answer, but I don't necessarily feel it, and I'm not like, my mentality is not ready for that. And so to kind of take those little steps towards that goal, because it can't just happen all at once. And that's what I used to try to do, is like, all right, well, I need to work out, eat well, all this stuff. I try to do it in a day, and it's like,
you jump like 2 flights of stairs without walking up a couple
like
steps.
you're like, I couldn't, that's not sustainable because my habits don't match it.
Right.
And so like that's my piece of advice. It's like,
That's
start
cool.
small.
Yeah, that's a good piece. It's always start small and start now.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. I need that t-shirt.
Start small, start now.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this about wraps everything up. I appreciate you coming on. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Any last words, Eli, for the people?
The hippies are still sometimes right. Call back.
This is true. Cool. Well, with that, I wish you all the best. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you're listening to this. And always remember, make some happiness, do what you love, start now, start small, make good decisions, and make sure you make decisions, because if you just don't make decisions, and you're not doing anything. All right, take it easy.